for Excel Chapter 2, Pause and Practice 1. Before we actually start on the pause and practice, I wanted to go over a few things as we move into this chapter. So this chapter is a challenging chapter. It's probably the most challenging in the course. And in this particular chapter, we learn how to put formulas and functions into Excel. So the basic method for entering formulas is that you can type it in or that you can point and click to build a formula. Either way works. I think as you're learning, I think the point and click is an easier approach because you can visually see what you're building and there's less room for error in your typing. When working with formulas, you need to understand the order of operations or the order of precedence that Excel uses. And so the saying, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," or PEMDAS, is used in Excel. So the way that Excel works on a formula is it starts at the left of the formula and it makes the initial pass left to right and it looks for a parentheses. If it finds a parentheses, it will do the operation inside. Then it'll go back to the beginning of the formula on the left. It'll go through the formula and it will look for exponentials, right? So did you square something? Did you cube something? It'll go through the formula. It'll come back after that pass and look a third time, and it'll look for multiplication and division at the same time. Those are reciprocal operations, so whether you multiply or divide first, you're going to end up with the same. So left to right, it'll look for multiplication and division, and then the final pass, it will look at addition and subtraction, which are also reciprocal. So you want to make sure basically, if you want to elevate an addition and subtraction to happen before a multiplication and division, you need to put a parentheses in your formula. The next concept that you need to understand in this chapter is the method in which Excel places a formula. If you just enter a formula, then that formula uses what's known as relative addressing. And so when we actually pull it up, I'll show you what that means. But it's really, it goes from where the answer is, and it goes out and it figures out how, like the relation to the answer. So 3 cells above me, 1 to the right, and that positional piece within the formula is in relation to the answer. So when you copy that, it adjusts for that relationship, and that's how we can copy formulas and have them work. But there are times when you want to lock in that reference to a cell. For example, if you have an interest rate and you want that interest rate to be used across a range of cells, when you include that reference to that one cell, you need to lock it in so it doesn't move, because you always want to go back and get that interest rate. So that is what's known as an absolute reference. And then you can have mixed references where you're just locking in either the column or the row. Another term you want to look at is the idea of 3D references in formulas. And all this means is that you're moving off of the current sheet and moving to another sheet to grab a value. So this is the examples of 3D references. So do you see how it starts to put in here the names of the sheets? That's what's telling us that we're doing something off of the sheet. If the cell is just alone, then it's on the current sheet. So the information that I just briefly went through is here within your beginning pages of the chapter. So one of the things that I didn't have on the PowerPoint slides is this cell referencing. So right here where it has B2 with no dollar signs, that's a relative. The dollar sign, think of the dollar sign as a lock. And so when you put a dollar sign in front of either the column or the row, you've locked that in whatever it is. It's never going to change. So you can look at this one, dollar sign B, dollar sign 2. That means both elements are locked, never to change. That's called an absolute reference. In this third row, dollar sign B2 means that the B is locked, but the 2 could change. So you could go from row 2 to row 3 to row 4. That's a mixed reference. And then there's a second mixed reference where the B has no dollar sign, but the 2 does. So the 2 would always be on row 2, but we could go column A, column B, column C. And then this last one where you have the sheet in front of it, that is a 3D reference. So I want to come here to our pause and practice and start with this Paradise Lakes. And then we want to enable it. And we want to turn around and save it as our, so we'll say your initials, PP, E for Excel, Chapter 2-3, because there's 3. I am on step number 2. We want to enter a formula and then copy the formula. So let's take a look at our sheet first. We have, first of all, look at the bottom. We have many tabs here. We want to be on Cass Lake. And this revenue should look familiar. We did this with the first chapter. But in addition to revenue, we now have expenses. We've got an area over here for some statistics. And if we take a look at what they're asking us, we want to get rental revenue. So this is total revenue, all of these. But this row 10, we just want to add together the things that are rentals, which is row 5, room and cabin rentals, and 7, equipment rentals. So I begin my formula by putting my active cell where I want the answer to go. So that is B10 on the Cass Lake sheet. The signal to Excel that I'm typing a formula is the equal sign. So now Excel knows, okay, this is a formula. Now, I like using the point method. You could certainly type these, but I think it's just, I don't know, easy to visually pick what you want. So the first rental that we have is for April is room and cabin rental, so that's B5. I get a blue B5 and I get a blue running ants, it's really called a marquee, around that cell. So you can visually see, okay, yeah, okay, that's what I'm adding, it's a rental. Then you have to decide, is this all there is to my formula? No. Okay. I want to add together, I want to get a total of room and cabin and equipment. So what's my math symbol at this point? What action am I doing? Well, I'm adding, so I'm doing a plus sign. Notice once you hit that sign, your running ants turn into a solid blue line. Now we go and we pick the second piece, which is equipment rental, so that's B7. I get a red B7 and red running ants. So yeah, that's what I want. That's the rentals. So now I have to evaluate, is there anything more to my formula or am I done? I'm done. So I want to use this check mark. And the reason I want to use the check mark is it's going to accept that entry and it's going to leave me in that cell. Because look, I need May, June, July. I need all of those, right? But I don't want to have to repeat that action, and I don't have to. Because this is relative referencing, I can just copy it. So let's look at what that means to relatively reference. Here's my answer. I want to go and grab in the same column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells above me, and I want to add it to 1, 2, 3 cells above me. So now I can copy that across, and it's going to do the same action. Look, so now it says C5 plus C7. It's going to go up here and add, so 5 above me plus 3 above me. So that's what relative referencing are going to do. So I have all of this done. I am going to stop this movie here and pick up with number 4, 3D, and we're going to get into mixed and absolute reference, and that's a whole movie on its own. All right, so I'm going to save this and end this movie here. Thank you.